So one of the most common question a flight simmer asks to another flight simmer is what kind of flight controls are you using and what setup do you have? So today I thought I'd share with you what my setup look like and what I use when I fly both helicopters, GA aircrafts and airliners. For GA aircrafts I have the Alpha and Bravo from Honeycomb, and I am the kind of flight simmer that likes to mimic the same flight controls that the actual airplane has. So if I fly a Cessna or the Baron as it is set up for now, I use the Honeycomb. If I fly airliners, and that is actually both for Airbus, which has a stick, and for Boeing, which has a yoke, then I use this stick, and it is self-centering, so it has springs, so when I let go it comes back to center. For my helicopter flying, I have another stick, looks almost the same, but it has a 200 millimeters extension, and this is also not self-centering. So if I move it left, it will stay left, and same to the right, it will stay in the position where I let go. So I find that great for helicopters, and also it is quite light. You can actually adjust the tension with a tool down here, and you can see it looks like a volume knob. So you can adjust the tension for the left and right axis, and behind here you can adjust it for the pitch axis. So it's quite light, as I like it. So when I fly helicopters, I tend to just hold the stick about here and control it with 2 or 3 fingers. Because when you fly helicopters, there are always these tiny adjustments that it's necessary, especially in the hover and lift-off phase. So this is a great setup. For the collective, I actually don't have a separate collective just yet at least, but I use the VIRPIL throttle, and I have set it up so that the left side of the throttle is the actual helicopter throttle, and the right side is the one that is the collective itself. Then I have set these white buttons up for lights, beacon lights, nav lights and such. And if I fly the, for example, the Bell 222 which has landing gear, I use this one for gear up and down. And I have some caution warnings that I can acknowledge, a park brake, and And if I fly with autopilot, I have this button set up for the different modes of the autopilot. And for rudder control, for fixed wing, or the anti-torque as it's called for helicopters, I have this VIRPIL pedals, and now it has a spring attached to it. So like the joke is self-centering, it will come back. But when I fly, if I can get this off, just bear with me a moment. I have to put down the phone. So now I have detached the spring that is in the middle. So when I fly helicopters, I have it set up like this. So when I then move it, it also has the it will also stay in place as I set it. So for helicopters, that is great, as it's as with the cyclic, there are always those tiny inputs, and if the spring will be in place, then all my corrections, they will just move back to center. But without the spring, I can let it go, and I don't have to use my feet and have the tension on the paddle for all the time. So that is also great. And I have installed a damper to it. It's a bit hard to see, but it goes here. So I have, it's not that easy, but I have tightened it enough. So the pedals feels really smooth, but not over twitchy in any sort. And with helicopters, it's as always best in VR. So I have the Pimax Crystal Light, and I have bought from a company called Studio Form a comfort pack for the Crystal Light. So it has the padding that goes over here, and a padding in the back, and also a few counterweights, one on each side, so that the Pimax balances just right on your head, and you don't get any pressure in your face, and yeah, you can have it on for a long time without getting tired. But when I fly airliners, I mostly use the monitor itself, together with the Track IR5, which I clip onto my my headphones, and then I can just look left and right like any head tracker, so I don't have to think about. I just look to the left, and the view turns to the left. I also have the Tobii Eye Tracker 5, I think, but I find that a little too yeah, it's too twitchy for me. And also, if I have someone standing behind me and looking and see when I fly, then the Tobii also sometimes picks up either their eyes or also their heads, so the monitor goes crazy. But with the Track IR5, it's attached to the headphones that I have, so so that the monitor and the view stays where I look. So and of course, the computer itself runs a 3090 i9 processor and the 4090 RTX GPU. So looking forward to Microsoft Flight Sim 24 and what that one has to offer. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with my setup, and yeah, the only thing I miss right now is of course the collective for the helicopter flying. But if you have a throttle quadrant that is pretty decent, and as you can see, there are no slack when I move this, it's really good. And I can also adjust the tension on that one if I wanted to. So if you have a throttle quadrant, just use that one. But I really recommend a stick, non-self-centering stick like this one. So you have easy and nice flight controls for those tiny movements. If it were to be self-centering like the other stick, then when I let go, it will of course go back to center. And also I constantly have to, for example, use to the left and forward. I have to keep the pressure there, but with this one it's just very light. And if I find the sweet spot for my flight, then I can actually let it go. And yeah, that's it's really nice. But if I fly more complex helicopters, like for example the H160 or some other in X-Plane of the more complex helicopters with autopilot, then I actually tend to use this one, because you are mostly flying on helicopters and you are just giving small corrections. So then the self-centering one is good to have. Yeah, that's my setup. So happy flying, and see you soon.